What is up, Tilray traders and investors? It's Rod with Power Group. Welcome back on the Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ stocks, crypto assets, and interviews. Today's Friday. Happy Friday. It's October 7th, 2022. And today in this video, going to go over Tilray Brands earnings that they just reported, Q1 2023 earnings. They missed the estimates, and we had some weakness in the broader market today as well. So we're going to talk about the numbers. We'll run through the numbers real quick, and then we'll talk about where we go from here. Before we get to it, though, make sure to smash the like, help support me in the channel. It doesn't cost you anything. If you're new, you can subscribe and tick the bell to be notified on any future videos or when I go live. If you recall from my video from yesterday, I did a video on Biden pardons simple MJ possession offenses, and Jim Cramer was shilling Tilray stock. Of course, he likes it when it's up 40%. But essentially in that video, I know it was a little bit longer, but I said that, it's anybody's guess what's going to happen with Tilray's earnings. But in that video, I said that if I had to guess, based on the lack of support that we had on the move on Tilray and a lot of our names, we had no support even on the 5-minute chart. And what I said was the most likely scenario is with that news coming out from that video yesterday, with that news breaking end of day, and today being Friday, we could see a potential gap up. And that's exactly what happened on Tilray. I said, watch for a potential gap up in that video and then a sell off, because people would more than likely get FOMO and they would buy in this morning, and then we would see a sell off. And I said, don't be surprised if we see a 10 to 15% pullback, and if we test the 350 area. Today we had a pullback of about 337. I said anywhere from 350 to 325, and we were basically right in the middle of that range that I said. We could still see an EMA 12 and 26 bull cross as well, so it's still looking good. We're still in a daily uptrend, and I told people, like, the most likely scenario is we had no support on the 5-minute time frame. So you need to be realistic, right? Nothing goes straight up for forever in a straight line, and nothing goes down forever in a straight line. So I said the most likely scenario is that we likely see a gap up with that news coming out late yesterday. We see a gap up, and then we see a 10, maybe even 20% pullback. And I said, watch for that 350 to 325 USD area. And that's exactly what happened. And I still have people today saying, they're sick and tired of the stock market. What a joke. And, there's tons of people that are upset with the reaction today. But the reason why it's down is because it missed on revenue and EPS estimates, but also the broader market is weak. SPY is down today. If you take a look at SPY, look at that straight slide that we had, right? So, and I've been warning, I said that SPY is still in a weekly and a monthly downtrend. Plus, I'm still targeting around the 330s on the S&P 500 between now and November 8th elections. So I think that we could see one more leg down on SPY. We can't rule that out, and that's going to be headwinds and more troubles ahead for the MJ sector. And that's exactly what happened today. Tilray missed its estimates. We were expecting 157 million. It came in at 153, and then EPS was forecasted at negative 0.07, and it came in at negative 0.13. So again, this coupled missing on revenue and EPS, coupled with the market weakness in the S&P 500, adding headwinds, that is why we were down on Tilray. At one point today, we were down about 15%. If we just take a look from the high to the low, it was actually about 17%. But again, we ran from the low to the high, we ran 40%. So you need to expect, if something runs 40%, let that be a lesson. Next time, expect a 10 to 20% pullback, especially when we have no support on the 5-minute time frame, especially when we have earnings and we missed on revenue and EPS estimates, and when the S&P 500 is seeing a 2% drawdown as well, right? So again, I know that video went a little bit long, but that's the benefit that you have of, there's no shortcuts in life, right? And if it's hard for me to condense all this into 5 minutes, and I spend a lot of my time, an hour and a half of my time going live streaming, and most of those live streams are, the first 30 minutes or 20 minutes is just my thoughts and a recap of the news, and then the last part of it's just interacting with the community, right? So realistically, it's only the first 20, 30 minutes that you can absorb the most of it, but a lot of the questions that people ask is very, very beneficial as well, because you learn how people are thinking, and you can kind of see how I would react, or how I would behave in a certain situation if I were in their shoes, right? And that raw form of genuine honesty, I think, is very beneficial. But like I said, in that video, I straight up said we could see a gap up. That's what we saw. And then I said expect a 10 to 20% pullback on Tilray. We could go back to 350, 325. That's exactly what happened. I warned it, and it happened. And then people are still upset with the stock market and with Tilray, and saying that all the gains are gone back, right? So it's just funny. You tell people time and time again that something's going to happen, and then it actually happens, and they still get frustrated with the market. But again, where do we go from here? MJ wasn't going to go to the moon tomorrow or today or even next week, right? It's going to be a process. It takes time for these things to come to fruition, right? And we've been in a brutal bear market, and like I said, SPY could see another leg down. So we'll go over these numbers here real quick. I'm not going to dive into them too much, but you just have to realize that safe banking and potential uplisting to the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ is just around the corner, right? We just had this news from yesterday that broke with Biden pardoning the offenses, right, for simple possession. But a lot more is just around the corner, right? If we know that the S&P 500 could see another leg down, right? If we could potentially expect on the S&P, if we just zoom out to the weekly chart here, I've been calling for the .com fractal that's been following it to perfection. It says we could bottom out at some point between the next 1 to 2 weeks here into the end of October. So if we're targeting around the 330s on SPY, that means that we could see more weakness in MJ stocks. But then it's calling for a massive rally into the end of the year, which I think could happen because we have 2 interest rate decisions coming up, and we also have the elections coming up, right? So I think they're going to start to ease on the interest rates. Maybe they raise it one more time or slightly lower than expected, or it comes in line with expectations. And then in December's interest rate decision, they either cut it by quite a big margin or they don't raise interest rates at all. And then that would send the markets, a lot higher, right? And then that would bode well for an end of year market rally. And that would be good for MJ stocks because of the November elections. We know that safe banking could very well pass. We know that we could see uplisting to the NYSE or the NASDAQ. And we could see consolidation on the dollar. The dollar is very much due for monthly consolidation. We haven't consolidated or pulled back on the dollar in about 9 months, right? Going on almost a year without any pullback on the monthly time frame. So we can expect a pretty big pullback. So again, we need to be realistic and have realistic expectations, have a realistic timeline, right? And right now, I think that we could see a little bit more trouble ahead in the short term, but medium to long term, I think MJ is going to be just fine and Tilray will be just fine, right? We should see this thing at $10, in my opinion, easily if we get safe banking news or uplisting to the NYSE, the NASDAQ, maybe even as high as $20 into the end of the year if all the stars align and we see a rally in the broader market as well. But one thing I wanted to highlight here is that they had a strong balance sheet with $500 million in cash. So I'm not going to go through this. It's pretty lengthy, and I want to keep this video short and sweet. Like I said, this video went a little longer, an hour and a half. If you want to get the actual value, and like I said, there's no shortcuts. If you want to dedicate that hour and a half, I highly encourage you to check that out. Maybe put it on 1.5x speed or 1.75x speed if you dare. I talk pretty fast, but you can always slow it down in the parts that you want to hear more of. But again, this is how you become an expert at anything. You need to put in the time, right? I know not everybody can watch an hour and a half live stream all the time, but you need to put the time in, right? Like I put thousands, hundreds of thousands of hours into financial markets and research, right? I've been doing this for 15 years and, there's no shortcut. And I would never have been where I am today or have the amount of wealth that I've accumulated today or been able to help as many people as I've been able to help without putting in the time and the effort and the dedication, right? And the continuous learning that, that is financial markets and quite frankly, just life in general, right? It says it takes 10,000 hours to become an expert at anything. So one thing I wanted to highlight is their strong cash position. They're number one in terms of market share in Canada. I did a post on that on my community page saying that Tilray actually was number one, and then Organogram 2, and then Hexo. I think that'll continue to fluctuate between those three pretty much. I'm very bullish on all of them, own all of them in my long-term portfolio. But again, we missed on revenue, we missed on EPS, and like I said, I'm not putting too much weight behind one individual company's earnings report. Yes, Tilray's a leader in the space, but we know that we're in a brutal bear market, and until the whole sector reverses, that's what we needed, was this sector-wide catalyst, and we got that sector-wide catalyst yesterday, which was this reform in MJ with Biden, right, with the Biden news. But then Tilray's earnings today could have added momentum, but it wouldn't have skyrocketed the whole sector 20, 30, 80% like we saw yesterday. But it would bring it down, right? On the flip side, right, it would have more bearing on the downside, in my opinion. And that's what we're seeing today. So again, and then also the S&P 500 was weak, right? So not putting that much emphasis on individual ERs, right? Individual quarterly reports and things like that until the whole sector bottoms out, and it's looking like we're very close to a bottom. And like I said, if Tilray sees, if we see safe banking and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, that's going to create a huge euphoric, situation in the market. And if we can get over this resistance here on Tilray at 452, we have really nothing until 9:08 on the weekly time frame. I could easily see a move back up to $10, no problem whatsoever. We have EMA 26 there at $12.31. So if we just start to gravitate back toward those monthly EMAs, I think it's very, very doable that we see $10 to $12 here into the end of the year, especially if we see in a lame duck session with the, maybe the Republicans take the House or the Senate, and we see a lame duck session, and the Dems push even more for reform and safe banking and uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ. That remains to be seen. But like I said, even if they don't, even if it's, they may even pass something before that happens, right? Like they're coming through on their campaign promises now, and they're fulfilling that. And like Kim Rivers said, the CEO of TrueLeaf, better late than never, right? And I think that's the problem with a lot of, retail investors and MJ investors is we want to be rich tomorrow or yesterday, right? We want that instant gratification. This isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. Like Warren Buffett says, the stock market is a mechanism from transferring wealth from the impatient to the patient. So which one are you? Are you impatient or are you patient, right? So you need to learn to change your mindset, right? And the lower the prices, the longer the prices, the more we have to accumulate. There's only going to be one legalization around the world once with MJ, right? So take advantage of it, change your mindset, and be grateful that you're even alive to experience it. And, just take the good with the bad. And if we continue to go down, if we see SPY go to 330s, it's just more time to buy and add to positions, and it's an accumulation and an opportunity, right, of a lifetime, right? So just change the mindset. But in terms of the weekly time frame, we're still looking okay. I want to see a close this week. So today, I want to see a daily close today over 345. Today's the end of the day and the week, right? So at the end of the week and at the end of the day, we'll have a very accurate representation, but we want to see a close, bare minimum, in my opinion, over 345 on Tilray to remain bullish on the weekly time frame. In terms of the weekly moving averages, we have nothing nearby until 570 and then 1075. So exactly what I said. I could easily see a move back up to $10 here into the end of the year if we get some sort of confluence with safe banking and potential uplisting to the NYSE and the NASDAQ, right? And we also have the potential of a golden cross forming here with the 50 coming up through the 200. If that were to happen, I could easily see a move back up to around $10. So $5 is going to be very, very strong resistance. We can get over that. It's lining up with the 200-day moving average as well. If we can get over that, I can easily see a move back up to $10 in a hurry. But let me know in the comments below if you agree with me, disagree with me. I always love hearing from you. Were you surprised by today's move? Were you not surprised? Did you get benefit out of the live stream from yesterday? My call-outs, again, I don't have a crystal ball. I said it's anybody's guess with regards to the earnings. But I said if I had to guess, based on no support and the size of the moves that we saw in MJ, I would expect a potential gap up because the news came out late in the day and today was the last day of the week. Potential gap up and then a 10 to 20% sell off. Wouldn't be surprised if Tilray hit 350, 325 USD. That's exactly what happened. And yeah, let me know if you benefited from that. That's all that I'm trying to do is give you my perspective, give you the both sides of the coin, right? This could happen or this could happen. There's only three things that can happen. The markets can go up, down, or sideways. I give you I didn't know for sure. I just said that is what I think is the most probable outcome, right? But again, I don't have a crystal ball, but just having the years and years of experience, putting in those hours, then that time to become an expert, you learn to realize, the odds of a certain situation playing out, right? You start to see that probability factor, and you can just, not everybody's good at that. Maybe you'll never be good at that. Maybe you have different strong suits. Maybe you're better at maybe you're good at oversold bounces. Maybe you're good at investing. Maybe you're good at trading, right? Everybody kind of needs to find their own way, right? But that's the benefit of Pow Group and why I created it. Was the more eyes we have on the better, on the market, the better. And, we can share ideas and, it's not financial advice for entertainment purposes only, but we can share ideas with each other before we hit the buy or sell button. That's going to do it for me today. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth. It's Rod with Pow Group. If you could smash the like on the way out, I would appreciate it. Share the video with anybody that might find value, and we'll see you again on the next update.